Nice to see everybody's faces, many faces that even I haven't connected with yet, so that's always very exciting. We're going to do two things in this call. The first half of this call is going to be a sharing from myself, from Sungyo Fleischman from Bay Area, California, and from Toyo Hagiwara from Westchester, New York, to share a little bit about best practices when it comes to the workshop and some tips when it comes to working with staff and staff training and that kind of thing. And then the second half is we're going to turn it over to you and invite each workshop leader or team, however you want to do it, to share for a couple of minutes about what your theme is, what you're focusing on, and then a major highlight for your upcoming workshop. Okay, I'm just going to mute a couple people because we're a little bit noisy. So when the time comes, if you want to speak and somehow you can't be heard, then you can unmute yourself, or I'll try to keep an eye on that as well. So I'm going to share first. My name is Kayleigh. For those of you who don't know me, I'm from Maryland. I'm the National Youth Ministry Coordinator. Mostly, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. So it always feels a little bit funny for me to say that. But I have many years of experience doing workshops, and particularly winter workshops are close to my heart. I really feel like something about the cold weather just lets God work more. Summer workshops are good too, but winter workshops are close to my heart. And I was actually surprised that when I was preparing for this, most of the things I wanted to talk about were actually spiritual things. If you know me, I'm actually a very practical person and skill-based and down-to-earth, but it was just interesting, and so I feel like maybe this is just something that God wants us to share tonight. So the first thing I want to talk about is the importance of a spiritual foundation. And the reason why I want to say that is because when it comes to workshops, there is so much going on, and I always remember the first day of the workshop, I'm kind of like in this haze of, oh my gosh, there's 200 things going on and all these kids that I'm responsible for and parents who want to talk to me about the situation of their child and all that kind of stuff. And it's easy for me to forget about the meaning and the purpose and the spiritual side of what's going on. And one of the things that I have found that really helps me combat those situations is having a strong spiritual foundation. And what that means is however it works for you, setting some type of condition. You know, you have enough time now so to do like a 1-week condition before your upcoming winter workshop. And, you know, if you have a close staff that it's easy to communicate with and would be on board for something like this, I really encourage you to set that condition as a staff. Whatever it is, prayer, hundoke, you know, one of the prized conditions that we often do in a Maryland community is a ridiculous 21-minute running condition. Not my favorite one, but you know, whatever works for you that you feel like can be a spiritual offering. In my community where I'm from, we do conditions for several months leading up to the workshop. Each week we meet, we set a new condition, and that's pretty intense. But we have kept that tradition because of what it's done for us as a staff and as a workshop. And I have a testimony that one time, you know, this is my third time planning a winter workshop. I had a parent show up in the middle of the workshop, just randomly, and she said to me she felt like she just had to be here because while she was praying for the workshop, in her dreams, she saw the image of the workshop. We're at the campsite, and she saw thousands and thousands of angels descending upon the workshop and just totally covering us. And we were sharing a little bit, and I was sharing about all the conditions we had set, and it really felt like the spiritual foundation we were laying really let a good environment happen at the workshop. And without that, you know, workshops can still be successful without that, but it really just helped to give us some armor and some shield in those difficult situations because we had such heavenly good spiritual energy while we were there. So I really encourage you to set some kind of spiritual condition as a staff, or at least as a core staff and an individual to set that. And another thing to think about is, you know, you as a core leader of the workshop, you represent the front line of the workshop. And so everything you're doing is kind of magnified, and what your experience is magnified because you are the front line. And I know that every time I do a big workshop, the week before or 2 weeks before, I lose my phone for like 3 days. And it's ridiculous. It happens every year that I lose my phone, and I'm pretty aware of my phone, and I know it's going to come, and I'm really keeping track of it, but I lose it. And I always just chalk it up to, okay, this is my indemnity. I just got to offer this up. Another thing that always happens to me, and I'm not sure if this is spiritual or stress related, but it could be both, is that I get really sick right before the workshop. And I also just chalk it up to indemnity and offer it up, because if I can think that way, then, I can give something to the workshop. But, you might be put in situations where you're flat tire, you have a flat tire, or some big thing happens right before the workshop that makes it more challenging for you to be present. And you can think about that as you're in the front line, and, bad spirit world is trying to take you down, or at least make you less of a leader, less of an older brother or sister. So just remember the spiritual side of what's happening and the role that you play. The other thing that I want to include is the importance of having some kind of vertical alignment. I know some workshops have parents that are present at the workshop, and some of you guys might even have parents who are part of the planning and a part of the leading the workshop, but some of you might not, and that's totally cool. I'm all about young people leading workshops, but there is a benefit to offering things vertically. So if you feel comfortable, find some way to be reporting and communicating with your local pastor or your district pastor or somebody who is within the vertical line. You can even text me. But one of the things I used to do in the workshops is I would text my pastor each day with just a brief synopsis of what had happened. And what that did is allowed him to really be involved in what was going on and also pray for us. And when he would be communicating with the congregation or other people, he could speak to the workshop and include people in that way as well. We also always had a group of parents who would reach out to me and ask me for a list of all the participants so they could pray for the participants while the workshop was going on. So if you can make that happen too, all of that is good. I really feel like, all of you guys have your skills and your great schedules in place, and so the last cherry on top that everybody needs is just a really good spiritual foundation so that you can truly be successful, and God and good spirit world and energy, good energy, can take care of all the little holes that might be still in your schedule. So set a good spiritual foundation and you guys will be really successful. That's it for me. I'm going to hand it over to Toyo from New York to share a little bit with us.
Oh, great. Thanks, Kelly. Isn't she wonderful? Isn't she amazing? All right. So my name is Toyo. I'm from New York. I love my community. I love my New Yorkers. And one thing I really love about during workshops is those quote unquote deep activities. Like you push things, you shove things, you like cry and like you laugh, and then but in the end, like you feel something, you gain something, you learn something, and like I love being a part of it. And then now I love hosting it. I love like creating those opportunities. I love seeing that change happen in people, and I feel like I love workshops like because of like those moments that you can take home. And I just want to share a little bit about my experience in creating these activities and my mistakes that I've made in the past. Hopefully that I can share and that you can get some perspective. But first, I just want to say a little something about those deep activities. And I think what's in the core of those activities that we have, I think you guys all might have some example in your head already, but for me, it's about vulnerability. And being vulnerable is often hard and uncomfortable. And most times it's just like thrust onto us like it's an unwelcome surprise in our daily life, right? It's like when we're asked to give a presentation in class, or when we're like asked to like put on the spot in school, like where they kind of like have to tell the truth and we're like really nervous and like and oftentimes vulnerability is associated with unsolicited anxiety in our daily life. And so it's like it's important to understand that when we ask our participants to be vulnerable, that many will have a gut reaction to want to retreat, and it's a natural kind of feeling. But when we create the right stage for participants to kind of be able to find the courage to show up and be seen, it can lead to really incredible experience. And it gives an opportunity for participants to like get up on that stage and like really show themselves, and like to know that who they really are worthy and are enough, and that sets them free from the fear that they are not. And I feel like these activities are an opportunity to like offer that. And like I like to like imagine, like in Harry Potter, like Dobby pre-sock and like Dobby post-sock. Like a deep activity like really shifts how a person thinks about themselves. And imagine like you yourself, like your participants, like walking down their school, like walking down the hallways in school, or like throughout their lives, like knowing that they are worthy, or like they are kind of enough. And like it's like creating and executing like these activities is a great kind of privilege and responsibility, because I feel like it helps them to helps participants to kind of like set themselves a little bit more freer than they were before. And so from my experience, how I have learned to kind of do these activities, there are 4 components that I follow of the stages of an activity or a deep activity, and I just want to share a little bit about that. So like the first step is the planning stage. And in this stage, it's important to have a clear purpose, an intention, a goal, an expectation of what you want the participants to gain. And during the planning stage, it's also very important to plan an activity in relation to the context of the workshop. Like sometimes I just really want to do this one thing that I think is really cool and just like put all my energy into this one thing, and like it doesn't make sense in the context of the rest of the workshop. And like it's kind of like it's like you don't design a house around a really cool doorknob. It's like that's not the point of like having that's not the point of planning. It's like you want to make sure that everything flows, that everything works from one thing to the next, that the deep activity that you're planning is in the right place, so that it's so everything that comes before it sets the stage for the actual kind of activity itself, and then what precedes it follows naturally. And the second stage of an activity is the presentation stage. This is where you set the stage. It's about you it's about the presenter, it's about setting the stage. It's about enrolling the participants to want to kind of receive whatever it is that you want to offer. And in this stage, I feel like so many times I get kind of like ego, like arrogant, not arrogant, but I get kind of all up in my head about what I want to talk about. It's like about how cool I want to look, and like, oh wow, Toyo is so deep. It's like sometimes I get a little bit in my head. But it's not really about you. It's not really about the presenter, but it's about how it's not about you, but it's about how to use you in order to in order to kind of like enroll the participants to want to receive what it is that you want to offer. And yeah, it's not about you, but at the same time it's like in order to kind of like enroll the participants to want to go a little deeper, it's very important for the presenter to set the stage, can be vulnerable themselves to demonstrate it first. And the third step is the engaging step, where we actually get the participants to join you on the stage that you set. And first things first, definitely safety first. I'm so grateful that none of the activities that I did in the past actually hurt anyone physically, but it has come close. And since then, I learned to definitely try it beforehand, try everything thoroughly, to try any activity beforehand to make sure that, there are no loose ends to tie, that there's safety is not compromised. It's very important because if someone gets hurt, it's not just the activity that gets compromised. It's the whole workshop. It's even that person's health and well-being. And during the engaging step, it's important to keep the space, to make sure that it's a conducive environment to kind of facilitate that level of, to facilitate whatever level of engagement that you want. And also, while you're in that engaging step, it's important to invite people onto the stage and not try to forcibly kidnap people and drag them onto the stage. It's like you really want that person to experience this activity, right? You really want to offer it to them. But like, if you like drag them onto the stage, like they're gonna feel resentful, they're gonna feel hurt, they're not gonna be able to receive whatever. No, they're not gonna be able to receive anything. And that's why it's like really important to kind of like do your best from your part of responsibility to invite them onto the stage, make it a really comfortable, safe place for them to feel like that they can take the first step, that they have the courage to take that step. Because like that it's like you can lead a horse to water, but like you can't make it drink. It'd be like weird. And the last step is the fourth step is to decompress. And it's about taking the time to reflect on your experiences. It allows you to kind of sit down with your group, with the participants, and digest and talk about what you felt, what you learned. And doing this ultimately leads to a better understanding of what they learned, what they felt, which leads to kind of a more lasting impression that helps to kind of carry lessons beyond the workshop. And oftentimes this last step is the first to go when you're in a time crunch. And oftentimes I feel like I've definitely thrown this step out the window because we just didn't have time. But like, it's really important to kind of take time, even if you don't feel like you don't have any, to like after the workshop, sit down with your team, sit down with your group to go over what happened, to go over what everyone felt, and kind of like, to digest, I guess. And it's the planning, presentation, engagement, and decompress. And kind of feel like that's all I can say for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Toyo.
Thank you, Toyo. Yes, I want to echo safety first. We've actually had quite a few broken noses and arms and hospital visits in the middle of the workshop, and you definitely don't want to be in that situation. That's like, as a workshop leader, the worst feeling to have to call a parent and say, we're going to the hospital, I'm sorry. But thank you, Toyo, very good points. Lastly, we're going to hear from Sungil from Bay Area, California.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Sungil. From Northern California, not born, but raised here and lived here for pretty much all my life. Been involved in youth ministry for a long time. I've been helping to run the workshops for, a decade or so. And I just wanted to share a few tips from what we've learned first I want to add on to a few points to what Toyo said, and then share a few tips about if you guys haven't done staff training already, or just, things to focus on with the staff throughout the workshop. So just to add on to what Toyo was saying, we've kind of come to this consensus of structuring our evening programs in a very similar way to how Toyo was describing. And I just think that it's really important to emphasize that how you finish the activity, how you finish the internal activity is really important. How many of you guys do some sort of like debriefing at the end where it's you actually interact with the kids and find out what they took away from it and ask them about it? I guess it's hard to see anybody raising their hand, but anyways, I think that's really important. doing some sort of debrief either with the whole group or in teams or something like that, something to help them digest their experience. We often, focus on ending on a positive note. So either having an activity that's, like a prayer activity that's focused on, taking care of each other, thinking about each other in some way related to the activity, or just something as a group, maybe as a whole workshop where you just kind of speak to, hey, I know this is a time of raw emotion or whatever, or, you guys may have learned something new, please take away X, whatever you want them to take away from it, or, whatever. Okay. So, staff training. So I don't know if any of you guys are doing a staff training before the workshop. If you're not, I would recommend just having them come even like an hour early and just talking to them a little bit. Any sort of prep you can get with the staff helps a lot if you do it right. So I would recommend for staff training, or anytime how to prep your staff, try to distill the workshop into the most basic message that you're trying to convey. What do you want the kids to take away from the workshop at the end of the week? What is the boiled down 2-sentence summary of what you hope everybody goes home with, and hammer that with the staff during the training. Because if nothing else, if they don't gain, specifics about how to group lead, or, whatever else you're going to give them, or, if you don't have time for any of that, at least they know what you guys are trying to convey through all of the activities, and they can help that throughout the workshop. Your staff is your biggest asset during a workshop, and if they're on the same page as you in terms of what you're trying to convey and how you're guiding the kids, that is going to be the biggest determining factor of how successful the workshop is. Another thing, the other main point that I wanted to talk about is we often run into a situation where, things get really raw, kids open up and share very vulnerable things and difficult things, and struggles that they're facing, or situations that they shouldn't have to be going through, but they are, and the staff doesn't know how to handle it. And I think the tendency for anybody who's responsible, which is most staff, I think, is to want to take responsibility for solving the kid's problem, and that's something that we've had. In the past couple of years, we've had staff come up to us after an activity and say, wow, that was just so intense. I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to guide or how to respond or anything. You guys didn't prep us for this. What happened? And they started getting resentful at us for not prepping them. And, in the end, we just had to remind them, you guys are not psychiatrists. You guys are not counselors. You're not trained. You're not professional. You're not going to be able to know all the steps to help them solve their problem or to talk it out, and hammering that in with the staff, reminding them that you guys are their older brothers and sisters. That is your role. You're not there to solve their problems. You're there to be a support. You're there to help them and to listen. And listening is, we definitely focus a fair amount of our staff prep activities on listening, activities that are focused on hearing, whatever, just listening activities. I'm sure you guys have done a lot of them. So on a related note, there's a wide spectrum of issues that come up during workshops. Kids have anything from, difficulty with self-image, or being bullied, or depression, or abuse. And there's definitely a spectrum of how to respond to some of those. A lot of them are things that, they just need support. Adolescence is a time where you go through struggle, you go through challenges, and that's a normal part of growth. You have to learn how to respond to them and how to cope with them and how to move on and realize that life goes on despite those challenges. but some challenges are more serious than others, and they do need help. So we always emphasize with our staff that if something comes up that's serious, like abuse, or, people have thought about or planned, how to commit suicide, or, things like that, those are things that the staff needs to know, that they, as they're, when the kid talks to them, they, as gently as possible, but, they have to convey to the kid, like, hey, let's go and talk to one of the elders about this, because I won't be able to help you through this. And I want to make sure for your own safety that we can get you the help you need. So reporting up is very important. So that's something that every single workshop, we emphasize that with our staff, even if they've heard it 100 times, because it always comes up at workshops. Another thing is, along the same lines, remind the staff that their role is to guide the kids through an experience. It's just to help them to experience what you guys have planned for them. And it doesn't mean, they're not responsible for, again, solving the kids' problems or, entertaining them and making them have a world-class experience. They're just there to help corral them through the workshop and be good older brothers and sisters. So we talk about that just to ease the pressure off, because I'm sure you guys know a lot of pressure on themselves, and to do really well and be very outstanding, which is great. You can't ask for more, but sometimes they just need a reminder to take it easy a little bit, just have fun. It's really just about being there with the kids and getting to know them and listening. And, as long as they do that, they're going to have a fun week. So 3 basic things: distill the content of the workshop to the most basic message and hammer that in with the staff before and throughout the workshop. Staff leaders, group leaders, are not trained counselors. Remind them of that. They're just older brothers and sisters there to listen to the kids and to be, have fun with them. And 3, they're there to have fun and just guide them through the workshop according to how you guys have planned it for them. So that's all. Do you guys have any questions?
That's a good question. While these guys are here, we can go ahead and open it up. If anybody has questions, just raise your hand, or Alina and Sunny, I will unmute you. You were muted. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question.
Irvin? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, for Sungil, when it comes to having a group of team leaders at a workshop, do you do any sort of consistent meetup with the team leaders, at the end of every day, just talk about how the workshop went?
Yeah,
how that day went?
Yeah, we do, definitely. That's a pretty central part of our workshops. After we close as a workshop, we gather all the staff together, and our workshops are pretty big because we have a lot of, the Southwest and, California and stuff. So we separate them into teams that are I'll take one group of the leaders and, some other people. So we have a meeting that's focused on taking care of the staff themselves, checking in with them, seeing, and there's a few basic things that we check for. Number 1, how are the teams doing? Are there any, red flags in terms of people who just really don't belong, or fighting the group leaders or giving them a hard time? And 2, is there, did anything serious come up during the day? Is there anything that needs to be addressed?
Okay, and you said you would just ask them to talk about maybe the good points or difficult points of their day in general?
Yeah, we've done it a few different ways. We've done it where we ask them to share one highlight and one low light. that didn't work so well.
Oh.
So what works well is usually my favorite one is we ask them to summarize how they're feeling or how they feel about the day in 3 words. And we just have them go around in a circle and, or ask them to share a highlight or something like that. Definitely keeping it upbeat and positive is important, I think, but making sure that you handle any issues that come up is also important. So it kind of depends on how big the group is. Sorry, it's hard to, if you want to talk more, I'd be happy to talk more afterwards, but
Okay.
We have a pretty big group of staff every workshop. So we kind of have a set way of how we deal with it.
Okay. I might do that.
Good question. Anybody else have any questions? Ayaka. Hang on a second. We can't hear you. You're not muted, though. I still can't. Can anybody else hear her? Or is that just me? No, okay.
No.
We could hear you before. Maybe it's your webcam. You can also type your question into the chat on the bottom of the screen, or you can try unplugging your webcam and see if that works so that you can speak.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I have a question. If like a team leader have a group of adolescents and particularly like 1 or 2 does not go together well, what are you supposed to do when that happens?
So you're saying if there's a team and some kids that are on a team aren't good together, they
in the
don't.
same team and they're not good together, what are you supposed to do to not make it like a serious thing? And
Good question.
Yeah.
Sungil or Toyo, you guys want to answer?
Sure. I think it depends on the severity of what it means that they're not getting along. If they're pulling out each other's hair and it's physical, then definitely separate them. I would switch them out and move them to a different, split them up into different groups. A lot of times, if it's just like, I don't get along with this guy, or I don't like this guy, then I work with the group leaders to try and help them to realize that that's part of workshops is learning to like interact and have positive relationships with all different kinds of people, learning to love anybody, and and then just follow up with the team leader throughout the workshop to make sure that they're still doing okay. If things get worse, then I would split them up, but.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Anybody else? All right. Then we will go ahead and turn it over to all of you. So again, this is a chance for you to share about content of your theme, what you're focusing on, and then some kind of major highlight or something really cool that you're looking forward to. It's a chance to steal ideas from each other, or just a chance to see how cool other people's workshops are. Either way, it's about give and take, and it's exciting to have all these people from all over the nation together. So it's a good opportunity. So let's have Yuki. Can I ask you to go first? Yuki's from New York.
Yeah, sure. Do I have like a time limit?
Yes. We went a little bit over than we went a lot over than I thought we would. Let's try to keep it at 3 minutes.
Okay.
If that's not possible, that's okay.
I'll try. So, yes, New York, New Jersey, Bridgeport, and Massachusetts, we're all working together this winter. And our theme is Becoming the Light of the World, and is based off of a Bible quote. I don't have it on hand, but the idea behind it is that we want these kids to not hide who they are, and to really show off their light and show off and spread, I guess, like their goodness to the rest of the world. So yeah, our workshop's 5 days. Start off just talking about what it means to, like the theme of the workshop. And then we're going to talk about the darkness in the world. So we're going to talk about, big problems and how it's important to acknowledge these things, because if we ignore it, then it doesn't get solved. And then also talking about like specific struggles that they may be going through. And then at the end of the day, we're going to have some kind of breakthrough activity where they break through that darkness and realize their potential kind of, we're still working on that, so I don't have specifics. And then next day, talking about, spreading the light and kind of sharing with their communities and, communities. As for an activity or a specific highlight, there's still we still need to hash out some of the details. But one thing I'm excited for is we got Richard Curry coming, or no, he's not coming. He's going to send us a video, and it's just nice to have him because I know he's a great speaker and great assets.
Cool. Thank you, Yuki. Richard definitely has a cool factor about him, so nice to include him. Thank you. Let's go to Melissa from Maryland, DC, Maryland, Virginia. Oh, sorry, you were talking. Do you want me to come back to you later? No, you're muted.
No, it's fine. He left. Sorry, I'm at church, so there's like tons of people here. Hi. Sorry. Okay. My name is Melissa, and I'm from Maryland, and so this is District 1, so Maryland, Virginia, DC, and Philly this year for the first time ever. So our workshop theme is My Legacy. So we have like four themes that we circulate every 4 years. We have the same theme, if that makes sense. So My Legacy actually is like the hardest to get kids to connect to because it's just like a difficult theme to get kids to really understand or to Anyway, and so our mission statement for this workshop is we want the youth to be confident in who they are now, who they will become, and how they'll get there. And so each day we have like a theme for each day. So the first day we have it's outing day. So we try to connect it, but it's something outing day, and I'll talk about that later. But then the second day is about where I am now, and that's like talking about like who you are right now and kind of being confident in that. The third day is on who you will become, so your goals. And then the third day is how you're going to get there. So that's like path, and that's I can't talk right. Okay, so the fourth day is on path, and the fifth day is on path. Sorry, I'm like all over the place. Right now, there's like music playing in the background and papers are printing. Yes.
So how about share just a highlight that you're excited about?
Okay, sorry. So outing day is something in Maryland or in District 1 that we do. Basically what outing day is the first day of the workshop. The kids will get into their teams, and then as soon as they get into their teams, they like go off in vans and go to like a city. And this is kind of similar to like first gen, like the older unificationists, like MFT kind of experience. Like you get dropped off in the city, and then basically the team's in the city, and they have like different objectives to do. So we have personal objectives, so each kid will get an objective. So that so we have things like this year's things are get 3 people to say God loves me enthusiastically, lecture in public to your team, pray with a stranger. Yes, and then we also have team objectives for them to do. So things like each person on the team has to hug a random person and say, I see God in you. Another one is explain the meaning of and lead at least 3 strangers in Bookman's Day. So different things like that. So there's like a bunch of them. And then they also fundraise for this year. I think all the kids are gone, so we like keep everything a secret. But this year they have to fundraise for a hotel, and then after that, hopefully they'll make enough money that they can do something special, like go bowling together. So they're really excited. Well, the staff's really excited. So and the next day they like continue with the objectives, and then they, yeah.
Cool.
And
Thanks, Melissa.
thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's go to Mika / Manny. I don't know who wants to speak.
Okay, yeah, so me and Manny decided that we'd both talk. I'll say the theme or discuss the theme, and then he'll share a highlight.
Cool.
So our theme is rekindle, reconnect, revive, so the 3 R's. So rekindle is rekindling our relationship with God, and then reconnect is reconnecting to our brothers and sisters, and then revive is reviving our. So just all kind of in relation to that replugging of the year, and kind of tying in with New Year's too. And kind of just wanting the kids to own up to the things that are going on right now, or that have gone on or in this past semester, so from camp to this time. And also just stop. It's just kind of like a time to reflect for them. So yeah, that's all I have on the theme.
Great. Then Manny, would you like to share something you're excited about?
Hi. So,
Can you speak a little bit louder?
can you hear me better?
That's better. Yeah, thank you.
All right. So one thing I'm excited, I'm like more part of the activities group, and what we're like planning to get a gym, rent a gym out for the second day, and we have just like a bunch of cool activities. One of them's dodgeball. We want to play Hungry Hippos, like live Hungry Hippos.
Nice.
And there's this game called Wireless Communication, and it's like a team game. So one person, each team grabs the best listener from their team, and they have their back to another person on their team, and what they have to do is the person behind the listener is blindfolded, and they have to do a task, and the rest of the team members have to guide the listener to give the instructions to the person who can't see. And so, like, for example, one activity or like one task that someone has to do blindfolded is like get a cup, or they have a cup, they have a table and a pitcher of water, and they have to pour the water into the cup and take a drink from it. And yeah, that's about it. Yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm also excited as to like what internal activities we do too.
Awesome. Sounds like a lot of fun. Very exciting. Okay, let's head over to Yoshka from Koho. Are you the only one from Koho? Oh, and Reina. Sorry, Yoshka and Reina. I don't know who wants to talk.
Okay, Reina, you can add in if you feel the need to. So our theme is take charge, and we were actually really inspired by the third blessing of having dominion. We wanted to take things to a more like global or like worldly perspective, and helping kids recognize like first their like value, but also their potential to impact the world. And so we thought it also fit pretty well with like the New Year like resolution type of stuff. Being able to realize that they are people who can dream, and that God made them to become someone who can impact the world and who can do positive things. And so, yeah, that's kind of where our theme lies. And Reina knows how excited I am for this one activity, but we're gonna be having like a World Cafe type of thing on the last day. And this is actually probably the one that needs the most work for now, but we're going to have different older brothers and sisters kind of head up like different sections, and each of them are going to talk about how they're working through their passions to impact their communities or impact the world. And so we have a couple guys from Soul Monsters. I don't know if you know them, but they're a band from Ohio, and we want to ask them to talk about how playing music helps them feel like they're impacting their communities. And we also have Andrea White from Wisconsin, who might be able to talk about the matching blessing and just different things like that. And so that's what I'm most excited for, at least.
Very cool. I like that. Raina, did you want to add anything?
I guess one more thing that we're also excited for, or I am, is that we have live music. So Soul Monsters is coming, and they are very musically talented. And so I think it's just good that music can help set the atmosphere for anything that we do, lectures, deep activity, or testimonies that we're going to have. Yes.
Yeah, that's an upgrade from the general one guitar and a tambourine at workshops.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, let's go to Irvin, Alina, and Sunny. They're from what do you guys call yourselves? The Northwest?
Yeah, the Northwest.
Oh, my bad, okay.
I'm joking. Yeah, we're District 10. So I'll say the theme, and Sunny and Alina, how about you guys do what you're looking forward to?
I think you're on your own there.
Okay. Well, you guys just text me whatever you want to. So the theme of this workshop is based around the idea of community. It's been a while since we've had like an actual winter workshop at a campsite and everything. So the three main focuses, our workshop is 5 days, 3 full days, and we have 3 themes for each of the full days. The first one is about the culture, or just culture, like the culture that we live in at school and in our daily lives, and the culture that we want to create in our community. Then the second day is based on values and the type of values that we want to uphold as second gen and strive to live up to. And then the third day is based on goal setting and mentorship. And that day, I'm looking forward to a lot, actually, because I mean, goal setting is always kind of iffy if that stuff that they actually say they want to do will actually get done. But we are taking an approach where we're trying to have the campers connect more to their team leaders, so that their team leaders or whatever other staff they're comfortable with, so that whoever they connect to could be somebody that they can go to after the workshop, whether it be to talk to about their goals or just whatever else that they're going through in their life. So yeah, that's me in our workshop.
Very cool. Thank you, Irvin. Okay, let's go to Sadi from Phoenix.
I actually don't know what they're doing. By the way, for those people who came later, the people that usually facilitate the youth ministry in my state, Arizona, is Mitsu Fukuzaki, Hirokuni Ashino, and Nao Otsuru, but they were not able to attend because of work. So the only thing I know, if I'm correct, is it's going to be a 3-day workshop, and it's going to be at the end around like December 27th, or around that time. But other than that, I actually don't have much information, so I'm just taking notes for them to report back. So
awesome. Cool. Thanks for representing. All right, let's go to Ayaka from North Carolina.
Hi. Right now, North Carolina doesn't have a winter workshop, but we are teaming up with Georgia Winter Workshop. And I talked to Jack about the planning a winter workshop. I don't know the theme, but I know what they're teaching or what they're going to teach, which is teaching the kids some DP, and I think he is also planning to teach the kids OSDP. That's so far I know, and the one thing that excited me, I'm not going to the workshop, so I have no idea what's going on. So I heard that if they are able to, they'll go hiking on Stone Mountain. So hopefully that's a good experience for the kids.
Very nice. It's actually warm enough down there to go hiking. Everybody else is like, hiking? What? But that's cool. Enjoy. And last but not least, let's go to Sean from California. I don't know what your workshop is called. Like, you're all of California? You're West Coast? What are you?
We're basically all of California.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Sometimes people from other states have come before, but mostly California for the winter workshop at least.
Got it.
Yeah.
So tell us about your theme and what you're excited about.
Okay. Well, our theme is based around the idea of hope. Our workshop is 4 days. It's 3 full days and like 1 half day before people leave, so it's pretty quick. The first day is the theme is like basically where are you at? I think the first day and the last day, how you begin and end a workshop in particular, are very important. And we found that generally when we've done more of a in-depth activity, we tend to do like the most in-depth activity on the first night actually in our workshops generally, which is something that we found useful for multiple reasons. Number one, you get to hear where we often just do activities where all the participants have to communicate in some form or another, or through some type of activity where they're at in their lives and how they're feeling in relationship to potentially like the church, their family, their social life at school, things like that. And that's been really useful because it gives the group leaders like an immediate like sense of where each person is at individually. And then that leads into addressing those different types of issues throughout the rest of the workshop. And they can do that quickly from there. They know what points, or they have some reference point in leading into like one-on-ones, which we always make a priority at camp during like different, usually like hour slots of free time, but one-on-ones have been super effective and really helpful. And I think all the kids always look forward to that quality time, that one-on-one time where they get to connect to like an older brother or older sister, and then like doing an activity or having a theme around that idea on the first night generally helps a lot. Second day is principles of creation / discussing like God's heart and things like that, in terms of like why we're here. And the third day is the fall of man and covering restoration. And then the last day is covering like our individual or personal value. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. One thing I'll add that came up earlier about the group meetings at night. It's nice to have like good snacks for your group leaders or something like that. We oftentimes usually have kind of sugary stuff that like helps them wake up, because usually and they tend to enjoy it. It may not be the best, but that usually works. So like, come through with the snacks always. And that's about it. Anyways, pleasure to see some familiar faces and meet you.
Yeah, awesome. Nice to hear from you. Good points about snacks. I think we can all relate to that one. If we were in person, I would give you snacks, but we're not. I'm sorry. Great. That's everybody, right? I didn't miss any workshop. I think I got everybody. Great. So one other thing I just want to mention is one person from your staff should be receiving a package in the next couple days. So feel some love and support. I'm not able to do all the great traveling. That would be awesome, but I'm thinking of all of you and super inspired by all the content. And I'm also inspired about this network that we're creating, the supporting each other in our workshops. So I'm really grateful that everybody could make the time and just be present and represent and see some good looking faces. It's always a pleasure. So does anybody have any last minute comments, questions, things they want to say before we close?
Good luck, everybody.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there some kind of like scholarship funding from headquarters?
Yeah. So what you're thinking of, last year we had a scholarship fund, and it was a partnership between Cranes Club and National Youth Ministry, and it was all donation based. So whoever applied for the scholarship, we awarded it based on who donated. So that is available. I think it closes, it's on the website. I can send you the link. I'll send that link out on our Facebook message. But it might be closed. I'm not sure. I'll find out, and I'll let Raina know. Sorry, Raina?
I think it's today. I saw it yesterday on the news.
It's today, so kids can apply. Today's the last day.
Got it.
Anybody else?
Irvin or anyone else who's interested in hearing more about the staff meetings, if you want to just stay on, I can stay on for a few minutes.
What a nice guy.
It's true.
Sorry, real quick. For the thing that Yuki brought up, you said you'll post a website where they could apply to the scholarship
Yes.
today?
Yes. Yes. Yes, yes, and yes. Anybody else? Great. Okay, join me in prayer and we will close. Most beloved Heavenly Parent, thank you so much that everybody was able to be present tonight. What an honor to be working with such a great group of people, Heavenly Father. I'm so excited about each of these workshops. I really pray that you can bless the staff, Heavenly Father, and bless the participants. Let each of them really be in a place that they're open to you, Heavenly Father, and let the staff be willing to truly let you work through them, Heavenly Father. I pray that we can be thinking of each other as well in each of our individual workshops, and know that even though we're focusing on some different things, we are working on the same thing together. So I really pray that Good Spirit World and our good ancestors can bless each of these workshops, Heavenly Father. I pray for meaningful moments and for kids to get to know you in a way they haven't before, Heavenly Father. We offer all these things in the name of David and Kaylee Moffat, a Blessed Central family. Adieu.
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 Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Good night.